All right, let's look at this. Let's see what it is. What did Darwin come up with when how did he get to this theory of natural selection, and what is it? There were three observations that he made. So from all of his study and all of his experiences, his life's work, he made three observations. And I'm going to write these down for you. His first observation, and you know what? You know these. His first observation is critters, sure, have genetic variability. Genetic diversity. Dude, did we spend like lectures upon lectures upon lectures talking about genetic diversity and how genetic diversity is generated through the process of meiosis, through crossing over, how we and have we sort of implied that genetic diversity is a good thing? It's actually productive. One of Darwin's key observations is, hey, there's variability in the genetics of critters, and his finches are his evidence of that. Look at a pile of critters, even all of the same species, and you see it's easy for us to think of that with humans. We can look at ourselves and be like, oh my gosh, there's so much diversity amongst humans. But even if you look at something like a blue jay, you look at a blue jay and you're like, oh, they all look the same. But if you look close, they don't. There's variability. There are different heights, there are different weights, they have different muscle sizes. They can have slightly different markings on their bodies. Their toes can be longer or shorter. Like there's variability in the critters themselves. And this is something that over and over and over again, we can confirm. Observation number 2. More babies, this is kind of a sad one, are born than survive. Okay, that's a little bit sobering, but think about it. And don't think about it from a human perspective, because that's where it gets sobering. Think about it from a critter perspective. How many eggs does a pair of birds lay? And how many times do they lay those eggs? Like think about, I don't know, geese. Geese make nests full of, I don't know, 10 eggs, 8 eggs, even if it's 5 eggs. Sandhill cranes. My parents live in Montana and they've got these sandhill cranes who come and raise babies on the hill behind their house. And they watch sandhill cranes make 2 babies, but they do that every season. There's a reason that they do it every season, because they also, very often the babies don't survive. The baby sandhill cranes do not survive. In order to maintain the population, 2 mating grown-ups need to produce 2 viable offspring. Think about it, right? If you make 2 offspring for 2 sexually reproducing critters, you've replaced yourself and you maintain the population. Most critters out there make way more. Think about a spider making hundreds of thousands of eggs in a little egg sac. All those eggs, I actually have no idea how many eggs are in a spider egg sac. I say hundreds of thousands. That sounds like way too many, like thousands, hundreds. Let's go hundreds of spiders. It doesn't matter if it's hundreds or it's thousands. It's a heck of a lot more. You're replacing more than just you. So tons and tons and tons of babies are produced. All of them are different. Our third observation is that resources are limited. Oh my gosh. Okay, so now we have millions of babies out there, and there isn't enough food for all of them, and there isn't enough space for all of them. There's not enough resources for all of them to survive. Right? That, like, we can't really debate that. Those are true observations. And these are things that Darwin, with all of the reading that he was doing and all the learning he was doing and the things that he was observing in the world around him, these are the observations that he sort of boiled it all down to. And then he said, okay, if those are all true, I can draw some inferences. I can draw some conclusions. And he drew two inferences. And his first inference was, some critters are more likely to survive and reproduce than others. Can we say, well, let's just do some babies are more likely to survive and reproduce than others, but some of the critters are more likely to survive and reproduce than others. And here's another little piece that he added on to this. It's not just that they are more likely to survive and reproduce, but it's survive and reproduce due to inherited traits. So some are more likely to make it. Some are going to be better at harvesting food, so they're more likely to make it. Some are going to be stronger and are going to be able to fight things that come in to steal their homes. Some are going to be able to fight and protect their own offspring. Some critters are going to be more likely to survive. Now, not all of survival is survival of the strongest or the most genetically apt. Some of the survival is luck. That's not this. This isn't saying some critters are luckier than others. This is saying actually some critters survive because of the inherited traits that they have. And his second inference, if all of these things are true, over time, the population, the characteristics in a population can change. Over time, the characteristics, oh my God, I know I did not spell that right, in a population can change because of that. Because some critters are more likely to survive and reproduce than others, they're more likely to survive and they're more likely to pass on their genes. Over time, characteristics in the population can change. And guess what he called that? Dun, 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 dun. Natural selection. We often have survival of the fittest is the synonym for natural selection. And I want to caution you on that. Natural selection is, we have a specific, we'll talk further about this. It's a nuanced idea, and we want to be careful not to make it too simplified. All right. I think that I have a picture of one of the things that he did is he said, where's the evidence for this? Where can I see this actually happening? And he found artificial selection in human grown, such as the mustard plant, human grown crops, or human cared for, what are they, herds of farm animals, chickens. Oh my gosh, like if you start thinking about artificial selection in that humans are responsible for, it's crazy talk. Dogs, cats, like there's great diversity in form because humans picked what characteristics, what genetic variations do we like, and then facilitated the survival of the critters who have characteristics that we like. And the awesome example is this wild mustard plant. Who knew that cabbage, kale, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, those are all the same species of plant. They're all wild mustard plant. And humans, in their glory, selected seeds from the plants with the biggest flower bud stems and planted just those. And then from the crop, picked the seeds from the ones that had the biggest flowers and stems and planted just those. And pretty soon over time, humans created a selective pressure for flower buds and stems and made broccoli. What? And when they selected for the leaves to be a certain way, they made kale. And when they selected for the cabbage terminal leaf bud to be bigger and gloriouser, they made cauliflower. But it's all the same species of plant. Darwin looked at that and was like, this is a no-brainer. Like, look, we're doing it right now. We're creating natural selection. Called it artificial selection because it was human done. Like, we're doing this work. Apples, wild apples did not look like our apples today. Bananas? Oh my gosh, no. Bananas did not, wild bananas do not look like what we eat today for our bananas. And that's the result of artificial selection. Okay, natural selection is not the only way that evolution takes place. There are other mechanisms. So let's talk about some of those other mechanisms.